Carlos Nelson with Cascade Sports, and tonight we're going to be featuring HBCU coach here for you. He's going to be telling you his story about how he became involved with the sport. Who do we have here?
This is Coach Lewis from the Virginia University of Lynchburg.
All right. Hey, coach, you know the drill already. Run it down from kindergarten and make sure that you talk about some of the adults as you were coming up that helped form your character and give them their props.
No problem. In terms of my coaching career, I started off as a player. Once my playing career ended due to injury, I transitioned right into coaching. My first experience with coaching was with AAU. I worked for a director named Nunzio Foresi out of New Jersey. Coach Nunzio was an amazing guy. He really got my foundation going in terms of setting up coaching principles and coaching philosophy. From there, I had the opportunity to work with a couple NCAA schools in New Jersey. So I worked at St. Peter's University, which is the D1 program. Worked at the New York Institute of Technology in New York, and worked at Georgian Court University as well. So a couple of different D1, D2, and D3 programs all over New Jersey, where I really got my foundation going. My most profound experiences came from Harcum College. That's where I came from, out in Bryn Mawr, PA. At Harcum College, I went under head coach Riley May. I was there for 2 seasons. Both seasons there, we had amazing years. My first season, we made it to the NJCAA Final Four. Last year, which was my second season there, we made it to the national tournament again, finishing Elite Eight. So, I was blessed to work under a plethora of amazing head coaches to really help get my foundation going in terms of my coaching principles to allow me to be a head coach today.
Hey, coach, when you got your first head coaching job, tell our audience what that felt like.
So yeah, my first head coaching job is the job I have currently at VUL. It was just an amazing experience. VUL is one of the most prominent HBCUs in the state of Virginia. So for a person like me who was always had the dreams of working for HBCU, for that to be my first head coaching job, it was just a blessing for real. Like I was just amazed to have the opportunity, and then to be able to give scholarships to young women who really deserve these opportunities. It was just a really fulfilling experience and feeling for me.
Yeah, I usually, when I'm interviewing the athletes, I ask them what was it like when you got your first start.
Mhm.
uh, so let's talk a little bit about your team and your seasons with them, and what do you have planned? Your hopes for this season?
All right, no problem. So upon me taking a job, I actually took over a program that was non-existent the year before. The year prior to me, they had a lot of struggles. VUL is notorious for having a struggling women's basketball program. So the year before I took the job, they actually didn't even have a season. So I took the job over this summer. I had to start from complete scratch. So we didn't have a schedule, we didn't have a budget, we didn't have no returning players. So I took it over from completely zero. And I was fortunate enough to build a really amazing team. Right now, we have a roster of 12 girls, have an NCAA D1 transfer, a couple of D2 transfers, and a couple of Juco transfers, as well as some really talented freshmen. So we have an amazing team. In terms of scheduling, we actually have 7 NCAA D1 games. So we'll be playing Georgetown University this year. We'll be playing Auburn, George Washington, Kent State, and a couple other prominent D1 programs. So, we're set to have a really profound season this upcoming year.
Coach, what did you do this summer?
So this summer, I went back home to the state of New Jersey, and I trained a bunch of players in my area. Outside of coaching college, I actually run an AAU basketball program. So over the summer, I tend to do AAU and training, and I usually do this for free. Just link up with a bunch of kids in the community who would really be deserving of an opportunity to work with a coach or trainer. And yeah, I just lock in with those kids every day, and we just train all the summer.
Uh, Coach, did you use that transfer porthole?
I actually not a fan of the transfer portal. I actually don't use it. I'm more traditional of going to tournaments, going to camps, and utilizing connections within the communities I know. I'm not really a fan of the transfer portal, so
Yeah,
I opt to
well,
not use
I was doing an interview with North Carolina State assistant coach. He used to be head coach at UMKC, and he came off that Louisville when Louisville was running a herd over everybody. He was
it.
assistant coach there, but when I interviewed him, I wasn't really aware per se the effect that that transfer porthole has on high school kids with uh you're traditional and that's where I'm at that teams and colleges are not getting kids out of high school per se like they were. That hadn't even crossed my mind until I had that conversation. He was saying I can get a kid that's a junior that's already played uh, 2 or 3 years, and you already know what he's going to do or she's going to do, and they're adjusted to the college life, and we can build our team. How do you already said that you're not a fan of that. Do you have any specific reasons?
Yes, I do believe that transfer do have a place. Getting transfer players into your program can be very impactful for you due to the experience. But I think as coaches, sometimes we miss out one of the main points of being college coaches is to bring in incoming high school student athletes to help mold them into the players they can be into their max potential. I really am a fan of player development, but also personal development as well. So I like to bring in those high schools who may not have the experience but are eager to learn, so I can help them grow as players and people.
All right. I want to talk about this, and I'm glad that you mentioned that they didn't have the program per se before, because you know this is a HBCU series, and when I'm contacting and looking for the sports, the different HBCUs, some might only have a handful of sports
Mhm.
that they do, and a lot of times soccer or volleyball is not in the mix. It's more of the basketball programs and the football programs take precedent. And in addition, the the talent pool as it relates to your budget. I don't. I know that you hold it. As I have been involved with HBCUs, a lot of to have these programs, our community don't really understand that they need, and especially if you're alumni and you're in position, you need to support because you our kids need this type of development. And you're one of the, I'm not going to say few coaches because I'm not going to put all the coaches on Front Street, but what you said, how you expressed what you did the summertime and why you did it, that's the school I came from. Since all this money has come into the mix, I think it has skewed how we deal with our young people, and I'm really interested in your program. So let's get to talk about some of your players, who you're up on, and let's go from there.
Okay, so in terms of my roster, like I said, I have 12 players, all talented, all special in their own regard. I think some of the key players who I like to highlight, one player is Macy Brackett. She's from my hometown of Neptune, New Jersey. So this kid coming out of high school, she actually was getting a lot of NCAA D1 interest, but due to just a personal reason, she actually opted to go the JUCO route. So with her, she actually played at the JUCO that I just came from, Harcum College out of Bryn Mawr, PA. Me bringing her in, she's one of the players who values the student experience. So she could have went to a bunch of other high level programs, but for her, she wanted to go to the HBCU for the experience of being in a community culture that highlights where she comes from, the things of that nature. Another player I like to highlight is Sarah Armour. So Sarah Armour is actually an NCAA D1 transfer. She went to North Carolina A&T. So with her being a 6'4" shooter, she had a plethora of D1 programs she could have went to. For her herself, she's in the same boat of wanting to go to the HBCU for the experience and for the culture and things of that nature. So all across my roster, I have a bunch of very talented girls who could have went to higher level schools, but because they value HBCUs, they opted to come here, and build their own program.
Tell me about one or two, if you have one or two talented freshmen.
Yeah, no problem. So I have one freshman named Sanaya Edman. She's from Maryland, the Maryland area. A very funny kid, very high intellectual, but she's always asking questions. She asks questions about everything, and it's funny, but it also like I can value that because for her, she just wants to get better and she wants to grow as a person and player. So one of the more talented freshmen on our team. Also have another freshman named Jasmine Clausmeyer out of Texas. So she's a 6 foot center and very talented. But she's also like one of the nicest people you would ever meet. But on the court, she's a complete bully. And it just, it's funny to see that contrast of, meeting her in person, her being very nice and mannerable, but on the court, she's bullying and doing what she needs to do for her position.
Yeah, gotta have that killer instinct to be a winner. Uh,
Definitely.
Now I want to talk about how important is it for you to have a good AD and a support from your administration?
It's vital. The only reason why we're even going to have a full season and potentially successful season this year is a direct result of my AD. My AD, Tim Newman, is an amazing person. Coming in, he gave me the job because he fully believed in me. And from day one, he's been very supportive of helping me put this program together. And every day I talk to him, he either calls in or checks in. Our ops to have meetings to really check and make sure we have everything we need to do. And for him, he's also our head football coach. So you can imagine he's the most busy person on campus. But somehow, some way, he always makes time to check in with all the coaches and things like that. So definitely appreciate him. And as you said, like having AD is like a vital part of having a successful season for any sport.
Now let's switch to your audience. How important do you feel when you can get the gym filled for your home games? What does that do for your team? And uh, and see when you're speaking on these subjects, from my experience, you're speaking. This is a HBCU series. Uh, for most HBCU coaches that are in your situation, run it down.
I believe fan support and community support is another vital aspect of having a successful program. Upon taking the job, I made it a point to really ingratiate myself within the community. So I go down to all the local businesses. Like I go down to the Salvation Army, I go down to the YMCA, and I make a point to really network and connect with people within the community because having that fan support is just vital, especially for those home games, when you're able to look into the crowd and see people that you see on a daily basis be there to support you. It definitely just adds to team morale and chemistry and wants you to give your all in all aspects.
So if you notice when you go to our website, we tout Cascade Sports as home of the student athlete. How important do you stress to your players the importance of getting an education?
Yeah, I tell them all the time the athletic portion doesn't happen without the academics. So we make sure that they know academics are first. So for our players, they go to all classes, they submit work on time. We do weekly study halls. And yeah, we just tell them that without the academic portion, the athletics don't even happen. So for our girls, we're pushing for us to have a a team GPA of 4.0. That's the goal for each semester. I know it's an outlandish goal for in most regards, but that's what we're telling because we really think our players are very smart enough and very capable. If you push them academically, like you push them athletically, you could definitely achieve those higher level goals on the academic end.
You can do anything that you think that you can do. You was an athlete, I was an athlete.
Yeah,
Anything you think you can do, the problem is most of us don't think we can do. And that's where your coach comes in. And other things play. So how many games have you had already this season?
actually, none. Our first scrimmage will be October 26th. Our first regular season game will be October 28th.
All right. Give me some prediction, man. Don't play with me either, because my we'll be playing this back at the end of the season.
I got you. For our team, due to how talented we are and how good we look now, we're looking to have we're looking for a 20+1 season. I
How
think we
many
have a
games is in the season? Like I told you, how I do my shows, I don't really do any research because I let the coaches or whoever my guest is, as as I'm learning, my audience is learning.
gotcha.
How many
Uh,
games are in a season?
so we typically you can have a 32 game season, so that's what we're striving to have, 32 games. With the team we have, I think we can definitely reach 20. In a perfect world, we'll get 25+1s for the season. In terms of overall, we're aiming to get a national championship this year. I know that's a big, lofty goal, but due to the players that we have, I think it's something that's very attainable for us.
Uh, well, uh, what would you tell a young freshman in high school what they should be paying attention to get to the next level, to get college scholarship?
I would tell them in order to make it to the next level, everything matters. So from how they carry themselves academically in terms of, their GPA and their grades, to what they do athletically, how serious you take your sport. So not only do you go to your practices and do you play games, but in your free time, how do you dedicate your time? Are you working out on your own? Are you linking up with trainers? Are you doing those different things? Also, what type of person you are. Because that's one of the major things I tell my players all the time. When you're on the court, I say your body language screams. So what type of person you are is very impactful in terms of your recruitment. So like, are you a good teammate? Are you a good player? Are you coachable? Do you value the things that your coaches are saying to you? I believe that if you take the point to really make everything important or significant in terms of how you carry yourself, you could definitely get yourself to the next level.
All right, Coach. This was a really insightful interview with you. We look forward to capturing some interviews with some of the girls that you have mentioned in the very near future. And what would you have in saying in closing?
I would say one, definitely appreciate you for the opportunity to come on your platform and talk. I think what you're doing is very significant in terms of highlighting HBCUs. And I think it's very important for coaches and players in our positions to really share our stories to provide insight for people who will want to be a part or contribute to the HBCU community. So definitely thank you for everything that you do.
All right. If all you chumps out there think that Cascade Sports is soft, we go hard at them nets, baby. We go hard.
This program is brought to you by the City of Fountains Coaches Association.